So here is Zephyr. This is another little session that I worked on. So again, just working on that draw. And every time with my Mustangs, I always like to kind of play around with the halter so they get used to me touching it so I can adjust it. You also notice that I do have the lead line on him. I do like to leave that on them for the first couple of days. I found that this technique works for me. Like, it gets them very comfortable with the ropes dragging around them. And then once I'm able to take it off, I take it off. And again, like, everyone is different. Everyone has their preferred ways. This is just one of the ways that I like to do it. So with him just kind of finding out where he's been comfortable, he really seems to like me to kind of touch down by his muzzle, which again, every Mustang is different. So sometimes they like us to come in at the shoulder, the neck, higher up on this face. But you can see here he gets a little worried when I go over by his eye. So I'm just trying to work a little bit here, seeing if I can go and play and try and tighten up that halter. But you can see he gets a little worried every time. So then also adding two hands kind of adds the next step up. And so I have to kind of break it down a little bit here. And I'm always trying to keep, especially in the beginning, keeping my hands closed, making sure nothing's kind of going out at him. And he decided he needed a little bit of a minute, a little bit of space, so that's fine. And you can see there, I use my elbow just a little bit to block. Again, we're still in that dance of how we're figuring out our relationship and whether or not he's comfortable with me in his space, and that kind of play on getting him to come to me versus him thinking he is pushing me type thing. So I'm always aware of that, especially in this stage. So after just letting him kind of walk around a little bit, I then revisited kind of going back and trying to manipulate that halter a little bit more. Kind of, he said 2 hands is too much. And I just gave a little bit of a bump there when he went to go kind of push, just the slightest. And he's just still a little worried when I go to the right. And also kind of the halter has a little bit of a tag, so it's something he sees in his eye right there. So I'm just trying to get him comfortable with this idea that it's okay. I can mess around with this and it's not going to hurt him. And since he's a little bit more comfortable with just the one hand, I just can take a little bit of dexterity with your hand to try to get that a little bit more snug. And then I was able to get a rub on the neck. So again, just letting him know that's okay. And he's just very unsure about touch. So again, kind of based on feel, sometimes when I go to touch, he really kind of amplifies just off of, you know, our hand. Just even when you're neutral and calm and relaxed, there's energy in us. And so he's just feeling that right now. So again, I have to be mindful when he kind of came in towards me that I did not back up. I had to hold my ground, hold my space a little bit. And I'm trying to see if I can get him to enjoy the face rub, but he's more curious in the phone. And so after kind of that, I decided to change it up a little bit and just work with, I have a stick here. It's actually a driving, I think it's used for a driving stick. And you'll see I have it turned around backwards, so I actually have the rubber end. And I think they like the feel of that a little bit better. And so just working with the stick and touching, seeing how far back I can touch. And this is I like to use this as an extension of my arm, but again, oftentimes you'll find with the Mustangs, they're perfectly fine with the stick, except for there, he got worried. But you can touch them with the stick and they'll be completely happy with it, no problems. And then you can go with your hand and they react, because again, there's more energy in your hand than there is in the stick, obviously. But just working on getting him in that with the stick, and he got a little uncomfortable, so I'm going to let him kind of move around. And then I'm going to go back to position. You'll see that I'm at a 45 right here. And again, just going in with a little bit of the touch. And when he gets a little uncomfortable, he's able to walk away. But I was able to get the stick to kind of touch him to his hip without too much fuss. So I'm just going to work my way. And kind of right when I get to the wither, he wants to trot off, but that's okay. I'm going to go to the right side now. Kind of adjust the camera so you guys can see. Well, that's getting a little bit better. And he handled that where I was able to get to the wither with the stick. And again, he's just very unsure about touch. He's pretty guarded about his body. And again, I like to kind of, after we have some intense moments where touching, I like to let them walk around, have some releases, and then I'm going to go back to it. So a lot of approach and retreat. So then I finished up the session with just a little bit of a rub on his face and his nose, and ended on a good note for Zephyr.